The PlayStation Store has just kicked off a brand new flash sale and it's got some awesome deals. So in the first video covering the sale, we're going to be taking a look at games that you can get very cheap, specifically under the price of $10. We've got a total of 10 deals to go over. Some of these deals are readily available and I've mentioned them before. However, others are newer titles or they're hitting new lows. So you're really getting the best of both worlds, and without further ado, let's just get right into it. And first of all, I want to start off with, without a doubt, the best deal as a part of this entire sale, and that is Gravity Rush 2. It is 70% off, and do remember it recently had its regular price drop to $19.99, so you are getting the game for just $5.99. That is an incredible deal on Gravity Rush 2. Now, Gravity Rush 2 is a game that I've talked really highly of. I talked highly of Gravity Rush 1 and 2. The second game is so much better than the first. The first title was designed for the PlayStation Vita, later ported over to the PlayStation 4, but GR2 was built ground up for the PS4, and you really see that shine through. It's still got the very interesting gameplay mechanics, and the visuals are fantastic. It's got a great unique look to it. Unfortunately, Gravity Rush 2 was a title that didn't do all too well from a commercial standpoint, and I doubt that we're ever going to see a Gravity Rush 3 unless a cult following for the franchise really develops in the coming years. But now that you can get Gravity Rush 2 for just $5.99, this is such a great deal. The only reason I can see an argument to not pick this game up right now is with the possibility of it possibly being a PlayStation Plus title in 2019. I do see that as a legitimate possibility. It was actually a Plus freebie over in Asia, and they're getting that in the month of December. However, if you have any inclination to play Gravity Rush 2 at this price point, it is so worth it. Next up, we have Divinity Original Sin Enhanced Edition. It is down to $9.99, so right under our cutoff point of $10. Divinity Original Sin is a very well-received PC-centric RPG. It made the transition over to PlayStation 4, and it's a pretty smooth transition. However, if you are more familiar with your console-oriented RPGs, Divinity Original Sin may be a little bit off-putting at first. It does have a little bit of a learning curve, but once you get going, the game offers you a lot to like. Now, Divinity Original Sin 2 did just release, and I would say leaps and bounds, that is the better game. If you had to pick one, I would go with Divinity Original Sin 2. However, with the game being a very recent release, the sequel that is, you can expect to pay a pretty penny for that game still. So if you just want to go in and play the first game, it's available for $9.99, and it's still definitely a great RPG. And if you play the first title and then go to the second title, you're really getting the best experience that way, because you can't play the second title and go back to the first title. I just don't think that's a great idea. So Divinity Original Sin for $9.99, worth a pickup. Next up, we have Trials Fusion, which is down to $5.99. Now, Trials has been a long-standing franchise by Ubisoft. It made a big impact during the 360 days, and now it's prominently featured on PlayStation consoles as well. And Trials Fusion was released all the way back in 2014, and it offers you your traditional Trials gameplay. It's challenging, but at the same time, very addictive and very rewarding. We are getting a brand new Trials title in 2019, so that is something to note. However, if you want a quality and challenging game in the Trials fare, $5.99 for Trials Fusion is definitely a good pickup. Next up, we have Shadow Warrior, which is down to $7.49. Shadow Warrior was another game that really made an impact on PC. It was first released on PC, and then it made the transition to PlayStation 4. However, this is a game that you can pick up and play on the PS4. It's not like Divinity, where you can tell it's a PC-centric experience. With Shadow Warrior, it's a fast-paced game, it's an action-oriented game, and it offers you a lot of fun. But like Divinity Original Sin, Shadow Warrior recently also had a sequel released in Shadow Warrior 2, and I would say that is the better game, but Shadow Warrior still offers a lot of chaotic fun. However, if you've never played Shadow Warrior 1 or 2, I should note that there's a double pack. I believe it's $17 and change, and I would say that's a pretty good pickup because Shadow Warrior 2 still holds up in value. So to get both games a little over 17 bucks, I would say it's worth it. Otherwise, get the first game for $7.49 because it's a solid experience. Next up, we have the Talos Principle, which is down to $9.99. Now, the Talos Principle is a puzzle game that I've talked very highly of. Unfortunately, at this point, it's not a game a lot of people talk about. It was released all the way back in 2014, but the game itself has a philosophical premise to it. It's a very interesting game, and it actually takes its name from Talos of Greek mythology, which was a giant mechanical man. It's got a really cool setting to it, really cool visuals. $9.99 at this point, you could make an argument that it's a relatively steep price point, considering the original game came out 4 years ago. I believe the PlayStation 4 version came out a year later, so it's 3 years old on the PS4. If Talos Principle was down to $4.99, that would definitely be a winner, but still at $9.99, if you want an interesting puzzle game, Talos Principle will definitely have you covered. Next up is a game that is seemingly going on sale every other week, and that is Burnout Paradise Remastered for $7.99. Originally released at $40, Burnout Paradise Remastered has dropped colossally in price to the point that, 6 months after its initial release, it is down to 20% of its initial cost, and now you probably understand why I'm a little hesitant to drop full price on a lot of games. Burnout Paradise is evident of that. However, the game itself is really good. It was released all the way back in January of 2008 on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, and back then it was really great. At this point, you can see some of the fundamental gameplay flaws. However, I do have to say Burnout Paradise really invokes that element of fun that a arcade racer needs to go for. It's chaotic, it's hectic, and it's still gonna offer you a good time. $7.99 for the Remastered Edition is great. It includes a bunch of downloadable content on top of the base game, so this is a winner, especially at this price. And especially if you want a quality arcade racer, we don't have a ton to pick from on the PlayStation 4, so this is definitely a good bet. Next up, we have Mirror's Edge Catalyst for $4.99, another title that I've talked often about. Mirror's Edge Catalyst was one of my disappointing games of this generation, most disappointing games, that is. So right away with me saying that, you might be thinking, why am I recommending it? Well, it was disappointing to me because I loved Mirror's Edge on the PlayStation 3. That was released in 2008. I thought we would never see another game, but it did develop a cult following, and eventually EA decided to announce Mirror's Edge Catalyst. And while Catalyst does things right, it also does a lot of things wrong. I thought the move to a more open design hurt the game more than it helped. Mirror's Edge was a very, very linear game, but its strength was being a great linear experience. With Catalyst, some of that is lost. However, the parkour gameplay is still pretty good, the visuals look great, the story's a little muddled, but at this point, you're not paying $59.99, you're paying a measly $4.99, so if you enjoyed Mirror's Edge back in the day, you never checked out Catalyst, jump into Catalyst now, and I do think you will have a pretty good time. Next up, we have Hollow Knight Voidheart Edition for $9.89. Hollow Knight was another game that really made an impact on PC. And on the PlayStation 4, it's great as well. It has an awesome visual style and great presentation from its music and, again, aforementioned visuals. But if you like your side-scrolling games with a little bit of challenge, say something like Dead Cells, Hollow Knight will have you covered, and it's one of the better ones that you're going to come across. $9.89, still a little bit steep of a price point, but a relatively recent release, so you can't expect too much of a gigantic discount, but I would still say it's well worth it at this price. Moving on from that, Rockstar Games obviously has a lot of attention around them right now because they just put out Red Dead Redemption 2, but how about you go back into the vault and check out one of their older titles and a game so many people want to see a sequel for. Bully is available for $8.99. Bully is a very interesting game because unlike Rockstar's most known properties in Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption that are very, very mature in tone, while Bully does have its mature elements, obviously set in a school setting, it's going to be a little bit different, but it's such an interesting game because of that school setting and because not a lot of games try to do what Bully did. Now, obviously, this is an older game, and at the time of Bully's release, it was received very, very well, but it's been so many years that if Red Dead Redemption 2 is your benchmark for Rockstar Games, okay, I can understand why Bully would fall a little bit short, but for $8.99, it's a really cool game, and another title that I hope at some point Rockstar does revisit and put out a sequel for. There have been so many rumors over the years that a Bully 2 was coming. Hasn't come to fruition yet, but I'm still holding out hope. And lastly, another deal that I often mention, but I think it's a game worth mentioning, and that is the PlayStation 4 exclusive in the Order 1886. That is available for $5.99. Now, the Order 1886 alongside Mirror's Edge Catalyst, a colossal disappointment to many people. However, that disappointment primarily came because of the price point. The Order 1886 was released at a full $59.99 price point, and it offered around a 4-hour campaign. So if you come at it from that standpoint, yes, I can see why people would be disappointed. But now that you're paying $6 for the game, what you're getting out of the Order 1886 is worth that $6. You're getting a solid third-person shooter. Yes, it doesn't redefine gameplay mechanics in any huge way, but technically this is an incredible looking game even to this day, and even being an early PS4 title, it still holds up with the best looking PS4 games at this point. And its story and premise is so interesting. There's so much potential here for it to be fleshed out into another game. With how the game did from a commercial standpoint, I doubt that is ever going to happen. It's a very interesting game, a lot of potential in the world, and I do foresee in a couple of years, unfortunately, it's just going to be forgotten in the annals of history once we move on to, say, the PlayStation 5. So that is going to conclude this video. 10 awesome deals as a part of the PlayStation Store's flash sale, and all of these games come in at under $9.99. Would say there's a lot of variety here, a lot of options for a wide variety of different gamers depending on what you're looking for. Gravity Rush 2 is fantastic. If you want a quality RPG with a lot of depth, Divinity Original Sin will have you covered. Trials Fusion offers you a very challenging experience. Shadow Warrior is that chaotic fun. Talos Principle is a great puzzle game, and I can go on and on, a lot of depth here, but we are going to be covering the sale more, so don't worry, we'll be taking a look at some of the more expensive deals, so be on the lookout for that, and do expect more great deals in the month of December as we head into Christmas. That's going to conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.
Depending on your desired difficulty mode, the combat in Original Sin Enhanced Edition can be torturously tactical or bright and breezy. It just depends on your playstyle. Take advantage.